Thank you so much, leaders, for joining on another podcast at Doddle.live. Extremely grateful that you have been on the platform, you have been supporting us. And the only reason that we have been able to run for the last 2.5 years is because of the support from the leaders, from the leadership community. Thank you so much for making this community a dynamic one. And today I've got another dynamic leader with me. She loves stand-up comedy. She comes with a core background in business, but she's not a businesswoman actually. She's a leader, and she's a digital and technology leader with over 2 decades of experience driving e-commerce transformation and global delivery excellence. She's currently serving as a senior director at EPAM Systems, where she leads digital growth initiatives, client strategy, and capability building to deliver outcome-driven solutions at scale. She has held prior leadership roles at Capgemini and Accenture. I think all of you will know about these companies. And if you don't know about these companies, then tough to become a leader then. She has successfully built and scaled high performing practices while she was at Capgemini and Accenture, has led pre-sales, consulting engagement, and driven profitable growth across global markets. And her expertise spans e-commerce platforms, cloud, AI, enterprise architecture, enabling seamless integration of complex digital ecosystems. She is known for her strong stakeholder management and strategic vision and has consistently led large teams, build niche capabilities, and delivered impactful transformation programs for global clients. Welcome you, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
Thank you, Rishikesh. Thank you for having me, and hello to everybody.
Ma'am, first question is, I think, very close to you because the conversation that we had over the phone for around half an hour, I kind of picked this thing up. Is that you have been a part of the digital commerce journey from early platform based implementations to today integrated ecosystem. So, from your experience, what has fundamentally changed in how businesses approach digital commerce?
So I think originally, when we were 2004, 2005, when e-commerce came into play, it was more about just being able to sell online. Somehow sell online, whether it is B2B or whether it is B2C. So it was more online selling and automation than really anything else. It was just another channel of sales, so to say, right? Little bit later, it started evolving into different business models. When I say e-commerce business models, B2C, B2B are common ones. There are marketplaces, D2C. So there was a little bit of transition into that. Sometime when COVID came, D2C became, big. The second phase, I think, started when people started driving and designing online buying systems as not just pure, just give me something and I'll buy something and that's done. They start thinking of intuitiveness and personalization in their buying journey. So if I'm joining in, if I've browsed something, if my age or my geography tells something about me to the platform, they will try to personalize it. Still, a lot of personalization was very static in nature, not very real time. Marketplaces became very common, and there were different models of marketplaces that started coming in. Amazon, everybody knows, right? Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra. A new concept of something like Make My Trip came, where it's a marketplace, it sells what it sells, but it sells complementary services. So completes that, right? The phase which I think we are in here now is because the last leg of experience is really delivery. How do you deliver in time? Are you able to update the status of what you're delivering in time? Are you able to give, omni-channel experiences? I do not want to walk into a store and buy something and have the agent not know anything about me while I've been a constant user of their platform. So how are we integrating omni-channel now? A lot of businesses have started doing that, but there's still a lot of scope of doing that. The last thing, and when all of us know that, right, AI has come into play. Real-time personalization is now the differentiator. If your commerce system enables that, commerce is not the generation of data, but if your ecosystem as a whole, your ERP, your CRM, everybody enables real-time data updates, real-time promotions, real-time sales, real-time recommendations, that's the play today that a lot of online selling players are doing. And I think, and that's where most people should aim to be.
Got it. And what was the inflection point, ma'am? Like while this transition was happening?
When you say inflection point, I mean a reason for change?
Yeah.
So I think one thing is people started feeling that there's a lot of investment going in creating different channels of sales, and it will give them better ROI if this is done. Now, initially, when people started commerce systems, there were very, very few commerce players in the market. And now everybody has an online presence. There's a huge competition. The number of people who've become online buyers have drastically improved as well. So there's all the organizations, all the sellers are running to get the right pie of the share in that sense, right? So I
Yeah.
think real ROI from just digitization and making another channel, looking at ROI, better sales, quicker sales, and loyalty of the customer. If I am not giving you a personalized experience, my loyalty would not stick to the platform, right? So all of these things are pushing a little bit more legacy online buying systems to become more modernized.
Got it. And you have also worked on integrating commerce platforms with ERP, payments, OMS, and fulfillment systems. Where do you feel most of the organization struggle in this integration journey, and what are the hidden complexities here?
See, at a high level, I feel today people do not think. People have created layers technology wise and their understanding wise. Now, if I'm an ERP person, I'm only worried about how the data has to be stored in ERP. If I'm a CRM person, I'm only thinking CRM data. Now, if I'm a digital commerce and marketing person, I'm only thinking my data. Now, the coming together of leaders or technologists or business owners of the ecosystem of your IT landscape to understand what data needs to be given to which system to serve experience. That's the thing people are missing today. So there have been instances when when we are integrating with ERP, a lot of data comes to us. Sometimes it is not complete. Not complete. Why? Because it is not complete for CX, customer experience. It's complete for ERP, but it's not complete for CX. So then we do whatever enrichment that we have to do. Now I'm a person, somebody has raised a complaint on the commerce platform. Now the CRM has a service cloud. They need to know what was the complaint. They can't go in and talk to the customer without knowing what was the complaint. So all of that has to go real time. People have to start understanding what data is needed for what business function, what is needed for reporting, what's needed for CX, what's needed for customer service support, what is needed for ERP, what is needed for taking business decisions or regulations or security. I think challenge in integrations is usually that people are very happy knowing their world and they don't come together. So that's why, you will find last minute go live challenges always happening in any big digital transformation program.
Yes.
So I think that's the challenge I see. I think somebody who's a little bit senior, when people start with, wearing the hat of I know end to end, that's when these problems sort out. And I was just talking, a little time back to somebody who heads data in one of the organizations. And I was telling him I lead customer experience or digital customer experience for EPAM. And he said, "Oh, you make websites." And I was like, you're a data head and you're saying CX is websites, then I think there is no point, me trying to explain to you. I think that mindset is the killer. And that's what hurts the end result of, having good experiences for the customer or problems when we are integrating with systems, backend, legacy, and all of that. So, my take.
And everybody in India feels that, their work is very important.
I cannot comment on that.
This is what I derive by the statement that gentleman.
No, I think, yeah, I think a little bit more understanding of, see, the data is only needed for 3, 4 areas, right? Data is needed for regulations. I need data to make my business day-to-day operational decisions. I need data to do customer experience. I need data to serve my clients when they call me.
Yeah.
If we are not able to sense that this data, while it does the work for, ERP, but doesn't do the work for CRM, if you don't bring that maturity, then I think that continues to be a problem in the IT world. And I think you should fix that, because else the aim of having a great customer, happy customer, loyal customer will not be served.
Ma'am, I've also seen that a lot of these big companies, like I was talking to the chief data officer of Aditya Birla Group, and he was telling that we have a centralized data team. So for all group companies, we have a center of excellence, something kind, which is centralized data team, and that has basically helped us make sure that the right data flows to the right teams and all that. Do you want to comment on this, ma'am? Like, does that help?
I think that is kind of the same point I was trying to bring earlier, right? So COEs are important. You have to go deeper into technology, which is important. So COEs are very important. I had the digital COE myself, so I understand that. However, do your architects or senior people have two things which are very important in today's world. One is, like I said, understanding what data is needed for what part. You need to have the data, complete data, not dummy data, not incomplete data, and not bad data. The second thing I feel is that a lot of companies today are thinking what they are not thinking what the data is going to be used for. So a lot of data engineering teams are collecting data, a lot of digital like commerce, create so much data, analytics data, and we use that data for recommendations. What is the end goal? If you start tagging the data of when and how, why we are collecting it, how we're going to use it, I think that's what's needed. And from senior people to start understanding the kind of data needed for verticals like domains, industry groups. That's also very important. Today, people are, I'm a data engineer, I'm a commerce engineer, I'm a CRM engineer. Okay, great. Do you understand what domain you're working for? Industry group. Do you understand that? Do you understand why some regulations or why some user journeys need some different data? Both the things of, understanding the data has to be used for CX or CRM or for ERP, that's missing, reporting and all. And also, which domain am I working for? What is the extra data needed? That conceptually, I think people are still catching up with. And people who understand these things, you will find them to be front runners for everything. I mean, they're the ones who will be able to talk better to customers. They will be able to do better pre-sales. They will be able to deliver better outcomes and value-driven outcomes. Not just, okay, I've dumped something, I've done the ETL and passed the data to something else. But value driven outcomes are done by people who understand these both concepts of which domain I'm working for and this data is needed in which part of my journey.
And this is so well said, ma'am, because I think, there was a leader who mentioned a line I still remember. Like, these are like hooks which kind of remains in the mind. He told that people see data as a product, but people should not see data as the outcome. They should always look at what they are going to achieve and then see data
Exactly.
as a, huh.
I mean, people don't understand that, then they will fail when they become senior. So they need to understand that as early as possible in their career.
Ma'am, you have operated across pre-sales, architecture, and delivery, moving beyond just execution to outcome-based solutions. So, what does it take to shift organization from a project delivery mindset to a business outcome mindset?
See, I mean, we are in a very destructive world right now. So everybody wants to save cost. I mean, there are horrible, horrible war situations going around in the world. People are worried about the investments, the ROI. So gone are the days where people have just delivered projects without understanding what we are doing for. And the number of cases that you would find in the past where projects have been left midway and never completed an MVP and they never completed further, right? That numbers have gone down significantly. So for me, there are two parts in which I will divide to, and it is also I'm dividing into two parts because I feel very strongly about where the Indian IT industry is going. So we are meant to be the kind of doers, deliver. We are meant to be like that, right? Now, two things have changed. One, like I said, people are looking for ROI, people are looking for value. The second thing is there are a lot of GCCs in India. So now every GCC has a lot of technology talent themselves, right? Now, as an IT services person, what is it that I have to offer to my customer? Now, Claude probably can write better code than most of my developers. Yeah. But what probably some of these Gen AI tools cannot do is they cannot understand what is the best way or optimized way of writing code in terms of tokens and APIs, etc. So that's my value add when I'm a little bit, like a developer role I'm playing. That's my value add. Now, GCCs may need less people because coding has become simpler and all of that. But the next level of value add becomes a little bit, if you're a little bit senior in the organization, if you have to start speaking the language, to my earlier point also, right? What domain you're working for. So once you are knowing you're developing something, but if you do not understand where it is going to add value, there is a very high probability that you deliver something which is not going to be useful. And you are going to lose face also as your IT services provider. It's not that the program manager of the client is only going to get the heat. So for me, a little bit junior people, developer people, QA people need to understand more about being very optimized in their way of coding because everything is now cost driven, service driven with cloud, tokens, APIs. So they need to understand that. Second, a little bit senior people need to understand what are they doing, why are they doing, which industry group they're working for. If they don't do that, they cannot add value. And gone are the days where I can just give 50 people to somebody and say, okay, they will code for you because nobody else can code for you. Those days, unfortunately, have gone. For 25 years, Indian IT has ridden the wave of IT very well. I think it's time to change.
It's already changing, ma'am. I think.
Right.
I was seeing an ad of Infosys on Bangalore airport and I was surprised.
Yeah.
Building an AI product and they're doing the marketing of that on Bangalore airport.
Again, I am from marketing area. Right? I mean, nothing sells if you're not marketing it well.
Yes.
You have to market yourself well. Unfortunately, that's the world we are living in.
Ma'am, a big part of your role has been building skills in emerging areas like marketplace, cloud, and AI. So, how do you identify what capabilities to build, and how do you ensure that teams stay relevant in such a fast changing landscape?
Little bit tricky question, right? So there are three things that will always drive the change which is coming in, and you would have seen being in the industry for long enough that every 2-3 years the whole stack changes.
Yes.
Something on-prem, cloud, back to on-prem in some cases.
Yeah.
Coupled architecture, decoupled architecture, security, everything changes. Every 3 years, some new product will come, some new framework will come. There's a change. Change has become constant in IT. We have to live with that. It's almost like, you're learning every year. What is important for people like me to understand where the traction will be there and where it is worth adding effort and time and money. So I look at three things always. One is something cheaper has come into the market or not. So there've been times when platforms like SAP, Adobe were like, monolithic platforms. You have to buy the whole system and you have to have this huge licensing cost. Doesn't matter how much you're using them. Little bit challenge of ROI, but that was a phase it passed, right? So I'm always looking at cost versus ROI. If there are new offerings in the market, technology, platform offerings, which are cheaper, which give you a product which only you want. If you want 10 functions, it'll charge you for 10 functions. So cost versus ROI, I keep looking for it all the time. I keep looking at the go-to-market, time frame of any offering. Now, for me, go-to-market is very important because every day if you want to compete with your, people who are selling the same products, competition, you have to be fast. There are regulations sometimes, GTM is needed for sometimes regulation also. I keep looking for architectural patterns or platforms which improve my go to market, which are shorter time to go to market. The third thing that I think today's world very important is security. We've seen all this while how people can hack into your system, what data, if your data is leaked somewhere, how much havoc it can play because everything is digital today, right? In India, we know, right? We do UPI, we do Aadhaar. I mean, everything is digital.
Yes.
These are my three driving principles. I keep looking at that. I encourage my architects to look at that as well. And any new thing that comes into the market with these three things, I encourage my teams start learning about them, to start building skills. Of course, for example, take Mark. Mark is an alliance that encourages decoupled architecture, microservices, APIs, cloud, and headless. Now, whatever platforms get partnered with Mark, we keep a very close eye on them. If we feel that they can deliver solutions at enterprise level, then we take a call and say, guys, let's get trained on this. Now, like AI, everything that new comes into the market, it's not ready to be implemented. So hiring from the market for something which is very new doesn't make sense because you're probably hiring a person with two months of experience in that skill anyhow, right? So learning internally, training internally, and having very strong partner relations with some of these platforms. I think that's the way that we've built skills. We've taken risks. Sometimes we failed, sometimes not. But these three fundamentals have kept us honest as to what to invest in. And yeah, it's been a fair journey so far.
This is pretty insightful, ma'am. These three parameters that you mentioned can help a lot of leaders. Thank you so much, ma'am, for structuring it so well. With AI entering into areas like personalization, recommendations, and customer journeys, where we are seeing real measurable impact, where do you think the industry is still? Like, is it overhyping AI?
No, I don't think we're overhyping AI. If at all, I think we are underhyping AI. We want to believe we will still have our jobs. We want to believe nothing is going to change. So yeah, we were not overhyping, we're underhyping. But in terms of digital, by the word digital itself, like 0 and 1, I mean, that's the way the digital term was coined. I think AI has played already a lot of disruption and will continue to do so. You will see all organizations, whether it is Accenture, whether it is EPAM, whether it is Capgemini, they're all coming up with offerings that club AI, with their deliverables, their offerings, their customer experiences, etc. So no, we are not overhyping it. It has already created a lot of expectation from the. Now understand this thing. Our next level of people who are going to buy extensively from us are the Gen Zs of the world. They want everything yesterday. They want everything real time. They want everything super personalized. How would you do it if not AI? If these CDP platforms don't come into play, how are you going to, how do you know what data to pull from where? Because then customer experience becomes the main thing. Imagine AI helping me or helping as a business user, taking a decision on what kind of a marketing campaign to run
Yes.
for it to be super successful. Now, all my CDPs are helping me doing that. So I am cutting my losses, I'm cutting my risks by using AI extensively. AI is not free. And hence, always as a leader or as a person who has the budget, you have to keep thinking, how much am I spending and how much am I getting out of it? If I am making that, comparison right, and I've taken a decision that yes, I need to, use AI because it will do ABC for me. And if I'm a very small organization, it doesn't make sense for me to invest into AI a lot. Then I think if you don't use AI, maybe, after 2, 3 years, if people are not using AI models, they'll play a lot of catch up. And some people who invest a lot in AI without thinking how they're going to help, they are also, the senior guys are also going to lose their jobs. So it's very important to make that right decision. I'm glad I'm in not those.
I was talking to a very senior leader in a very big company, and he told me that uh, क्यों करना AI का, थोड़ा wait करते हैं, let the smaller ones build that and then we will take it because clients are anyways going to come to us.
But that's not a bad strategy at all. See, there are so many beta products in the market today, right? Right now, nobody is telling you what is the real cost. So now you get yourself, you marry something, you later realize, oh, it's too expensive for you, and you can't even come out of it. I mean, you are going to lose your job because you made that decision at the time. So it's a very important decision to be made cautiously, to be kept in mind, thinking value, ROI, and the future, running of my business. If you don't need it, you don't need it. Having said that, I doubt that the ecosystem of IT will allow you to exist in 2, 3 years if you're not using an AI in some way or the other.
Ma'am, now, let's talk a bit about the future, although all the big saints in the world have told us to remain in the present. And remaining in the present is so tough, ma'am. Like, I was kind of doing an introspection like 3, 4 days back, and I was kind of 80% of the times I'm either thinking about the future or thinking about something have happened in the past. So then I read one quote by Kapil Dev, which he has realized after he has gone into 50s or 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But still, the question is around the future. Is that looking ahead, how do you see digital commerce evolving over the next few years? What will differentiate organizations that will win from those, who just adopt technology without real impact?
So yeah, talking about digital commerce, it is a happy, let's say, coming together of customer 360 data from CRM and from your marketing tools and everything. So what impacts digital commerce will also impact some of these areas. But what I think is that we've done a lot of it, like we were talking earlier. We've done personalization, we've done omni-channel, or we are doing omni-channel. We are getting there. I think 2, 3 things will be important to think of. One thing is to think of what is our customer tomorrow. Like, are they the Gen Zs, they want it in a certain way? One thing. Today, also, a lot of people are super conscious about sustainability or authenticity of the products. I think that's a second more important thing, that when we are buying online, we want uh, consideration of whether or not the product is valid. Second thing is there's a lot of time and effort, and everybody is trying to cut time and effort spent, right? So how can I reuse a lot of my content across channels? And while I'm moving towards a world where less and less manpower is needed and more work is done with AI, how can I use that extensively? I have multiple channels today that I have to serve, and the content that gets created on a daily basis in this world today is mind boggling. I mean, you cannot even imagine, right? So for commerce, I think 2, 3 things are very important. One thing is they have to start thinking of how to cater to the next generation of customers. They have to start thinking, uh, if my product is an authentic product, a sustainable product, and they have to start marketing and creating the product like that. There are many organizations like FMCG, etc. They're already talking a lot about what each of my product is bringing as a carbon footprint into the world.
Yes.
Right. So people have started to become conscious, as they should. So if I'm selling something online, I should be conscious of my customer. I should be conscious of the sustainability parameter. Second thing, I think I was talking about content creation, right? It's a concept called omni-modal.
Yes.
Now you have text and you have videos and you have voice and you have a lot of things. Now, can I have a single prompt that will create the same content in different modality that will give, save my time and effort? At the same time, I was telling you, the biggest transformation that happens today because of AI is actually in the customer service space. Now, can I use again the omni-modal concepts to take an input from one of my customers who's complaining by way of text, by way of a photo, by way of a video, and give him a solution? So omni-modal experiences are also very important going forward, both for the optimization of the effort I put into for content generation and for handling a lot of my customers. Another thing which is, becoming very common today is that so far what we did for commerce, we captured the action of a person, okay, like in 2010s and all that. Then we started capturing the intent. With customer 360 came the thing of, what is the intent? Happy, not happy, regular customer wants to buy, he's been going through all these channels, he's leaving trades there. The intent capturing is the thing today in commerce, right? In buying online, understanding what the person wants to buy. I think future is for people understanding what is the need of my customers now. Now, there too, I spoke about sustainability already. So the need of the customer is I have to create products like that my customer need. So there's a concept of intelligent products that has come into the play, which says, am I creating products that my customer need? And am I that agile and nimble in my way of creating a product, in my way of creating a bundle, in my pricing, in my demand supply chain, in my logistics, that I can actually do it real time? So like the way a lot of platforms charge you only for the services that you take from this thing. In a similar manner, there is a lot of discussion today which says, okay, am I taking a product, what I need, or am I taking something which is there in the market and there is no other option, so I'm taking that? So slowly becoming more, decoupled or more agile in way of creating an intelligent product which your customer needs. I think that's another thing that commerce should go to. And I'm already seeing a lot of organizations having offerings and point of views and thoughts around that. And I think it will play well in the next 3-4 years.
This is pretty insightful, ma'am. Yeah. Now, coming towards the end of the podcast, I've got a couple of questions, very interesting ones. Not exactly related to the profession in which you are, but to understand you more as a person.
Sure.
What do you do when you are not in office and you are kind of lazy, you don't have anything to do? What is the first thing that you pick up?
So I read and watch a lot of mystery thriller books and novels and movies. That's my absolute. I mean, I don't know. I used to, at some point in time, I used to read a book a day. So I'm a big fan of thrillers, and I spend a lot of time that. Second thing that I think now I have a bit more time because my son has gone off to college, and I want to start spending a little bit more time in, my own wellness. Being able to separate out the work from my day to day, being able to do, a little bit of meditation, yoga.
Yes.
You were mentioning some quotes as to, how to live in the present. I think we are in that age, right? In that about to turn 50 kind of an age where so I'm spending more time in my own things, trying to stop thinking about what my family needs and being more, me and myself. Includes some bit of wellness. I thought I would at some point in time learn or take some formal training of, singing, trying to do that side by side. Just spending more time with myself. I think it's going to help me over the next, I don't know, 30-40 years of my life.
And that is so very important for all the leaders to spend time on their wellness. As ma'am is telling, you need to spend some time with yourself. Don't be in a rush. You have already proven a lot, and proving is a vicious circle. So more you prove, more you are made to prove.
That's true. You need to know when to come out of that loop.
Yes. And the second one, ma'am, is that do you remember any defining moment of your career, like which you can't forget?
I think one, I was working for Accenture at the time, and there was a bit of, change that I took. I was in pure delivery at the time. I'd not done pre-sales ever. And then something happened in my family that I had to take a month break. And when I came back, obviously, they'd found people to run the projects that I was leading at the time. And then I took a conscious call to move from pure delivery or pure architect role to a more consultant architect role. That was the defining factor for me. Being in an organization like Accenture, and it's known for its super duper consulting capabilities, marketing capabilities, etc. Right? The way I got groomed by my leaders, my practice heads at the time, the kind of exposure I got the moment I went into consulting, the travel I did, the customers I spoke to in person. I think 2012 was that year when my, career in the last 12 years shifted from delivery and, coding and architecture to consulting. And I think that's where, with my comm skills and with my technology background, consulting fitted just perfectly. And I think that is one defining moment. At that time, I was a little bit upset that, I had to take a break just like for a month because something had happened in my family. I couldn't have not taken that break. And I was a little bit upset that, why wouldn't you wait for a month? Why do I have to come back after that, sad incident that happened and then do something new? But it was really a blessing in disguise. And from that date to now, my technology background and consulting skills given to me by Accenture and then really honed by Capgemini, those are the things that are taking me ahead in my career. So for me, that is my one defining point.
And now the last one is a tough one. You have to go back around 25 years now.
Okay.
As a kid,
Okay.
10 years, 20 years old,
Okay.
who was the person you used to look upon to become like?
Okay, let me think.
Tough.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I had a role model in terms of, technology or anything like that. But I always thought that, and I belong to a business family, right? So I always thought that I will become somebody who runs a very big business. And that was my aim in life, to run a very big business. I was at that time thinking, I'll become something like an architect, go to school of planning and architecture, and, I'll have my own business because I thought I had an acumen of design. Thankfully, I didn't go there because later I realized I don't have that at all. But at that time, my aim to go to professional, qualifications and studies and job was really to have my business acumen. And I wanted to do my master's in business, like do an MBA and then become a business person. As fate would help it, I did my master's in computers and I became a technology person. But at that time, the fundamental was I will have a code business, setup of my own. It didn't happen, but I'm not complaining.
Ma'am, that was the exact reason is why you were able to transition so smoothly from being an technology person to a business person.
Well, yeah, maybe. My acumen definitely is there by the community I belong from.
So leaders, you have to appreciate me for the questions that I ask, okay? And also you should appreciate me for the effort that I'm putting in to bring in such gem of leaders on this platform. So do watch the video completely. Don't just keep on watching reels because they're not helpful. Take out 30 minutes, watch the entire podcast whenever you have time. And please feel free to reach out to ma'am if you have any doubts, any guidance.
More than happy to help anybody who needs any kind of guidance and help.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out time and sharing your insights.
Thanks, Rishikesh. It was a pleasure. Bye. Bye, everybody.